Lesson learned from a young man that had his heart broken by a loving grandfather that made mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes. My grandfather gave us the toys, the fun, the rocking in the hammock, the lake house, beauty of the arts, singing to us, all the comfort. But the moment there was pain that needed to be spoken about, the part that really matters the most, not to say that the other stuff doesn't, because the stuff that he did show is the reason why I'm going to heaven. Having that fun is the reason why I'm going to heaven. I know that for certain. But every time I went to him for something emotionally, he choked up, which means he had something going on with his broken heart. He had some family issues. But that choking up ruined our family. Not talking about things and processing emotions with each other led to addictions in the family, multiple marriages, broken hearts, scars in our minds and hearts. So we had the fun, and we miss him. I know I'll see him again. And we cry and grieve over him, but he left some scars accidentally. Talk about stuff instead of choking up. That's the lesson learned. Because that could lead to somebody going into addiction or having a broken heart or suicide or something, or make somebody suffering much worse than it needs to be. So don't neglect the most important part, which is the emotional aspect of love and not just the fun aspect of love. And we need both. Like I said, remember that. We need both. We need to have the fun, but when things get rough, when the day is boring, and we want more fun, we need to remember what it's like to sit in the boring aspect of life, because we've experienced the emotional comfort from grandma and grandpa and mom and dad, to where we can rest in that boredom and pain and whatever else life throws at us. Choking up, holding in emotions can really ruin somebody. Gotta talk it through. Talk it through. And Scripture shows this. The whole Bible talks about this. God clearly displays that He's a loving Father, and He's worried about all of our emotions and our experiences in life and striving for holiness. So don't neglect that part, or else you'll have a broken heart. And if you do neglect that part, the people that you hurt are going to hurt other people. That's the problem. They're going to make lives worse than they need to be. And then you have millions of people doing this, and millions of other lives ruined because narcissists are built, or broken hearts are built, and hurt people, which everybody has heard, but makes more sense when you experience it, but you don't want to experience it. And I'd rather you learn from me than the mistakes of somebody else. When Grandpa chokes up, when you need him, don't be the one that chokes up, because the consequences are emotional, but it's also going to be financial and physical and spiritual. It's going to hit every aspect of life, because when you have emotional dysfunction, you have dysfunction in every other part of your life because of it. A broken heart breaks a lot more than just the heart. It breaks everything around it, because the heart, everything you do flows from it. Above all else, guard your heart, because everything you do flows from it. So when your heart's broken, everything flows from that brokenness, leading to poverty and crimes and all these other things. Not to say that they will, not to say that you have to, because you don't. And we have God, and we can learn from Him, which we're supposed to. We're supposed to get our understanding from Him. Even if all you can do is hug somebody. Even if you don't have the right words, just hug them or something. Something. Let them know that you understand that they're in pain. And then read books and learn from other people. Like, you can tell that I've learned some things, that it's important to talk and to try and talk things through and communicate. But unfortunately, a lot of it was learned through the damages done. And it's frustrating because I don't want to blame my grandfather too much. Because like I said, we had a ton of fun. And I know he loves us, but damage was done. It's not all him. The people that let the damage happen, careful how I say that, the people that chose to sin because of the damage, it's their fault too. So it's the family's fault, not just his fault. It's everybody's fault. Everybody needs to hold each other accountable for when one person does wrong, but we should blame each other for how we respond to that person. Does that make sense? And I guess while this is on my mind, when you don't get the emotional support that you need, it leads into you being anxious or brokenhearted in ways that you don't even notice because you've been there for so long. And I heard somebody say that you're so used to stress that you don't even notice it anymore. So your stress levels are really high, but you've been there for so long that you don't feel it. And my brother said something that was interesting once too. People eat junk food for so long and become sick and they don't even realize it because they're used to being sick. And then they get on the healthy food and suddenly they're completely different. And so I'd say the same for emotional neglect. And this is where it gets difficult, is that your family that was supposed to be there for you emotionally and not just for the fun doesn't give you what you needed emotionally. They didn't equip you with the tools that you needed to have the courage to reach out for help and to express your emotions. So then when it's time to go to God for expressing your emotions and getting relief from Him, you can't even pray to Him. And you get choked up with prayer. You get nervous with worship. You're the guy at church that's kind of crunched up like this. And then you see everybody else like this. And you're like, how are they doing that? Are they really that excited for Jesus? Some of them are. They're there for the high. But some of them are genuinely worshiping Jesus. And us that have been beaten up, whether by accident or trauma in life or whatever, in this case, family not showing us how to process emotions because maybe they didn't learn it from their family or they never seeked God the way that we want to. It leaves us closed off and anxious and not even aware of being anxious because it's all just become like our diet. We're just used to the junk food and we don't even notice we're sick. So we try to go to God and we struggle to do it. It's like you make a mistake or you're really upset and you want to go to God, but you're afraid or nervous to do it because your family members weren't there. But then there's also, God is holy. So we're afraid of God's holiness, which we should have a fear for, but not be afraid of, since we are saved. So we should feel comfortable going to God knowing that. But family never taught us how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable to going to somebody for help, and especially God. All from choking up, not providing the emotional support necessary or needed. I could continue, I guess. You have Dr. Anna Lemke that says people in other countries are happier than us, where they have less than us Americans. Yet Americans are addicted and broken and scrolling on our phones all day and everything else. But these other people in other countries have better lives and better family and everything else. It's like maybe there's something to not having so much stuff and having more so a loving connection. I'm still learning too, but I guess that's where I'm at right now.